I appreciate that. All right, so let's go back. So welcome to Food as Medicine, Beat Fatigue and Restore Energy, sponsored by the Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland and presented by TrueSelf Total Health. That would be me. So if you've shown up, you probably have more than a passing interest in your health and happiness. So kudos to you for taking time to invest in you. Our commitment to you is to provide what we hope will be a content-rich presentation in a format that's easy to understand and interactive. I also know how frustrating it can be to get really great information, but not know how to implement it. So that's why we're going to provide tools and resources and a Q&A to guide you and give you a jump start to control your health. A few housekeeping issues. We're going to answer questions at the end of each section of the presentation to keep a good flow. Nadine's going to help us with that. And there are two ways you can either use the chat if you're familiar with Zoom. You can write in and Nadine will pick that up for us, or you can raise your hand and we can open up your microphones. At this point, I would ask you all to take yourself off video and to mute yourselves so that we don't destroy the flow of the presentation for those that may need the recording. It's going to be posted on YouTube. So we don't want any distracting background noise. Having said that, I know life happens, so no worries. Just want to let you know that we are offering a raffle prize. So you're eligible to participate in a raffle just for showing up today and by completing a very brief survey. The raffle prize is a free wellness consultation with me. It's valued at $127. Everyone who completes the survey will also receive a free 1-year subscription to Vegetarian Journal and an African plate recipe book. So you got to stay to the end and you'll receive a link for immediate access also to my How to Be Healthy Chocoholic Education and Recipe Guide to boost your energy naturally and deliciously. So lots of valuable information just for showing up and to show our appreciation for you investing time to learn and hopefully implement some really life-changing information. Let's talk about food as medicine. This is what we're calling this series, Food as Medicine. The beauty of food as medicine is that the choice to heal and promote health can begin as soon as the next meal. So food is either nourishing the body or breaking it down. What you eat either improves your health or depletes it. There's no neutral effect. So everything you eat is a choice of supporting your health and not supporting it. Now, real food, not food-like substances, provides nutrients to support your mental and physical health. Nutrient insufficiencies and deficiencies are at the root cause of disease, discomfort, and dissatisfaction you may now have with how you look and feel. And food, or the lack thereof, can impact every functioning of every system in your body, including restoring and maintaining energy for normal activities. So about me, a little bit about me. My name is Toni St. Clair-Fish, and I am proud and pleased to be your presenter. I am a certified nutritional endocrinology coach and educator, a digestive health coach, an insulin resistance coach, a plant-based nutrition educator, and a raw vegetarian chef and instructor. And I'm currently a certification candidate as a functional medicine health coach. I've been the proud owner and CEO of TrueSelf Total Health for about 10 years, assisting and guiding people who have forgotten or maybe never learned how to stay healthy and balanced. I'm also on the team at Capital Integrative Health as a health coach. I'm a transformational coach, a health coach with an emphasis on nutrition, mindset, and lifestyle. So in simple terms, I help you bridge the gap between knowing how to be healthy and actually being healthy. I do this by helping people to detoxify their bodies and their minds and learn how to eat healthy foods and improve their overall health and wellness. So today, I'm hoping that I'm going to empower you with information to understand how to support addressing a chronic fatigue. So why are we offering these series of food as medicine workshops? This is the fourth one, I believe. We want you to have practical tools to take control of your health. Super important all the time, but especially during this pandemic. Now, as you know, as I said earlier, this webinar is being sponsored by the Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland. Our executive director, Naja Wright Brown, is not here, but she wants you to please take a look at our Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland site. Look at all the wonderful things we do to support the community through education, through entertainment. And if you're so inclined, take advantage of some of the freebies that we have there and donate to our cause. I'm also a contributing member, so thank you for being here. All right, so disclaimer, super important that you read this. or at least that you pay attention to what I need you to pay attention to in this, is that two things I want you to hear regarding this disclaimer. One, this presentation is meant to be educational only. It's a sharing of information based on my experience and training or the experience of experts I rely on. Number two, it is not intended as medical advice. I'm not treating, curing, diagnosing any conditional illness. If you have a condition that requires medical attention, please seek that, because I am not a licensed practitioner, physician, dietitian, nutritionist, nurse, or any other kind of medical professional. So I want to keep you safe. Also, as you're sharing information or asking questions, please don't share any personal health information in this forum. I want to protect your privacy, and also because this is a general presentation. I do offer private health coaching sessions if you request one. So if I feel like you may be going a little bit too deep or too personal, I may invite you to spend a couple minutes with me in a free coaching session. Okay. So why are you here? That should be why, not what. Maybe you have a mid-afternoon slump. Maybe you wake up feeling tired even after 6 hours or more of sleep. Maybe you find it difficult to recover after exercise. Maybe you rely on stimulants like caffeine and sugary drinks. And maybe you just feel exhausted and tired for no apparent reason. Maybe it's all the above. These symptoms are consistent and maybe even chronic. Maybe some of you can relate to this picture. She actually looks like one of my clients, pushing through and showing up for their relationships, family, and work, never quite feeling energized, and gradually moving down a slippery slope towards total exhaustion and burnout. My personal story with this is that I used to be a marathon runner, trained for marathons, and it was a lot of over-exercise. My body was having difficulty recovering. In addition to that, I had a job where I was making a good living, but not a good life. All that impacted my adrenals. And at the time, I didn't know. I just said, well, I just need to eat more, or I need to sleep more, or I mean, everything I did was outside of addressing the adrenals. I even went to see physicians that told me that I just need to, eat better. And I knew I don't need to eat more, because even with all that running, my weight was plateauing. I wasn't heavy, but my weight was plateauing. And I thought, why am I not losing weight? And again, that's one of the symptoms of stress, and we'll talk about that later on. But I want you to know that I'm very familiar with energy, or the lack thereof, and so this is very personal for me, and I love to help people address this area. So I don't know how many of you have shown up, so I'd like to know why you are here. And we do have a poll that addresses all these areas, and I'd just be curious to know, just as a curiosity, how many of you are feeling. So if we could get the polls up. Poll number 1 is, why are you here, Nadine? If you could pull that for us. There we go. So why are you here? There's multiple choice. It could be any of them. Also, please understand that this is anonymous. So it's only gathering information. It's statistical only, and also gives me an idea of what symptoms you may be experiencing, and give me an idea of the types of questions we may be having to address towards the end of this webinar, or as we go through. So it looks like about 61% of you have voted. That's awesome. I think that's higher than the turnout for the election, hopefully not this year. 70%, 74%. So we'll go a couple more seconds, and then we'll just end the poll. I'm gonna give everybody a chance to participate. Okay. So it looks like 77% of you have voted. Oh, you're still voting. Okay, 81%. That's awesome. I really appreciate the participation. Also, hopefully it'll tell you that you're not alone in this energy fatigue cycle that you might be in, a lack of energy. So we're going to end the poll here. It looks like 88% of you, all of you who have decided to vote, have voted. And we'll share the results. So it looks like, yeah, you feel exhausted and tired for no apparent reason at all, right? It's just like, wow, I'm getting enough sleep. What's going on? That is hallmark. And many people get frustrated when they go to see their doctors, particularly females, because we get treated shamefully when we go and seek help. You have a mid-afternoon slump. Yeah, that's also hallmark. 39% of you wake up feeling tired even after 6 hours or more sleep. You may even feel dizzy. You may not even feel quite fully awake until about 10, 11, noon even, early afternoon. The one that I had that was an indication that I had chronic fatigue was I found it difficult to recover after exercise. Okay. All right. So I don't know, 4 of you said other. So if you feel so compelled, you may let us know in the chat so that we can make sure that we cover what you came here for. So maybe there's something else. Maybe you're just here just to learn, and that's okay too. Okay, so we're going to stop the sharing and we're going to move on to our next screen. Okay. So here's what you're going to learn. You're here because you're tired, basically, and the reason for it is super important for you to understand. So you're going to learn the root cause. You're going to learn how to assess your level of exhaustion, how to use food, herbs, and supplements to beat fatigue, how to make simple lifestyle changes to restore your energy, and how to create your unique action plan to resolve exhaustion naturally, because all of us are unique. All of us are biochemically different as far as things that are out of balance, and all of us have different lifestyle challenges. So the idea is to have you take information, the science, and then your own body wisdom, and come up with a plan that works for you. Now, some of you after the end of this webinar will be able to take the information and apply it and start to get well or feel better. Others of you may need medical intervention. And so there's nothing wrong with that either, but still you will have control over your health, and you'll know the right things to ask for when you're talking to your doctor, or the right things to look out for. Okay, so again, the root cause is always best to get to the root cause instead of just treating the symptoms. So this format, again, it's designed to educate and empower you to address the root cause of the underlying issues that result in exhaustion or less than ideal energy. So it can allow you, not me, to make informed decisions about your health based on facts and science and your own body wisdom. So if that's what you're here for, you're in the right place. If you're looking for a quick fix, well, you know, I can share with you some things that have helped my clients to feel better, but you're still not getting well. And that's really what you want, because the systems are breaking down. It's not just the adrenals. Our bodies do not operate in silos. They operate together like a symphony. So if one area goes down, they're all going to eventually go down too. Let's talk about the root cause of fatigue. Burnout is the root cause of fatigue. Now that's a word that's been thrown around quite a lot, but in our case, we're going to talk about adrenal fatigue particularly, and we'll talk about what adrenals are a little bit later on. So adrenal burnout is directly related to stress, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, real or imagined. Your body is designed, it's not designed to handle chronic stress all the time. It's really supposed to be a one-off, like something happens, you react to it, woo, it's over. But when you're constantly asking the body to respond to stressors, like again, and we have some of them on here, right? We have to talk about sickness or lack of sleep or job issues or emotional issues or depression. All these things can eventually lead to burnout. So if this sounds like you've ever experienced salty or sugary cravings, you've ever felt run down and overwhelmed, and more importantly, you rely on caffeine drinks or energy boosters to make up for your lack of energy, these are things to think about, and very important when figuring out if your adrenal glands need more support to provide your body with natural and sustainable energy. Okay, so let's talk about those little adrenal glands that we just chatted about. So the adrenal glands, as you can see from our lovely blue model here, the adrenal glands are, they're no bigger than a walnut and weighing less than a grape. And each of your 2 adrenal glands sits like a tiny pyramid on top of your kidneys, on top of each kidney. Ad means renal, and over, and renal means over. So adrenal, over the kidneys. Don't let the size fool you. These powerful little endocrine glands manufacture and secrete steroid hormones such as cortisol, estrogen, and testosterone that are essential for life, health, and vitality. Now they modulate the functioning of every tissue, organ, and gland in your body to maintain homeostasis, right? And that's especially during stress to keep you alive. So they also have important effects on the way you think and feel. The main purpose of the adrenals is to enable your body to deal with stress from every possible source, from physical to emotional, from real or perceived, ranging from injury, disease, to work, relationship problems. You just name it, anything that's causing you stress. Body doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So they largely are going to determine the energy in your body or the lack thereof. And over time, you'll find that these little adrenals, which weren't meant to handle chronic stress, are going to burn out. Just think about how we came to be in caveman times. The only stress was the stress of being eaten, right, by a tiger or some other type of predator. Still, that's not chronic, right? You have an event, your body responds to it, you go back down to normal. In modern times, the body, again, is still hardwired for caveman times. It doesn't know that you're living, that your job is just a job, that someone just yelled at you, but you're not in physical harm or danger. It's really just responding to your physical, mental, emotional reaction to something that's happened. And so if you think about your daily routine, how maybe you might yell when somebody's driving too slow, or maybe you start to panic at work because you're afraid you may lose your job. I mean, this is all real, but it has to be managed in order to make sure that you don't overstimulate your adrenal glands. So let's talk about, let's take another overview of the stressors. We already talked about sympathetic overview or sympathetic overflow. This is fight or flight, as opposed to rest and digest or parasympathetic, right? We should all be in rest and digest, because when you're in sympathetic overflow, digestion is compromised due to a perceived or real threat. Blood pressure rises. There's a lot of stuff that happens in your body when you're in sympathetic overflow. Tissue damage, right? Inflammation, pain. Examples include surgery or overexercise or chronic severe allergies, nutritional deficiencies, toxic exposure, like from the toxins in the food to the air that we breathe to toxins we put on our bodies. All that affects your adrenals. Temperature extremes, chronic infection, all these things can affect your adrenals. All this may be going on at the same time. And then mental, emotional stressors like anger and depression and guilt and fear and worry and anxiety and sleep deprivation. These can also cause sympathetic overflow as well. But the bottom line is you can see how this can really cause your adrenals to burn out. Now, there are 3 stages of adrenal insufficiency before you get to total adrenal burnout or adrenal failure. So let's chat a little bit about those. So let's talk about adrenal fatigue, stage 1, wired and tired. So over time, as I said earlier, constant stress and release of hormones in response to it will negatively impact or fatigue your adrenals. So it's important to understand the stages of adrenal fatigue. There's a progression in the stages of adrenal exhaustion that are common to most who suffer from adrenal fatigue and burnout. The stress can be as early as your childhood, like abuse or bullying, financial stress, all that. So you could be having some sort of adrenal insufficiency happening from childhood. So the first stop along the way to adrenal fatigue is what's called the alarm stage. Now that's where your adrenals are really overactive. So cortisol is a hormone that's released in response to that. Your hormones, your cortisol levels are running high. It doesn't know that you don't need to be, that you're not being chased by a tiger. It's just responding to the stress, real or imagined. So it's not causing damage yet. Again, that's the alarm stage. Stage 1 is hallmarked by very high adrenal levels, right? It's just like the alarm stage. The difference is that DHEA, which is considered a growth and repair and anti-aging hormone, is decreased as a result of chronically elevated cortisol levels. The body can't do 2 things at once. I mean, it's very complicated yet simple at the same time. So if you've got to run from a tiger, or in caveman times or even modern times, your body's thinking that you don't need to look pretty. You don't need to repair anything. You don't need to grow anything. You don't need to have sex. I mean, all these things, DHEA is responsible for that, and it gets depressed when cortisol levels rise, right? And also, because cortisol rises, it's going to increase your blood sugar levels. Why? Because you've got to run, right? And if you have chronic blood sugar levels increase, it's almost like you ate a candy bar. Body doesn't know the difference. You could have increased protein breakdown because you could have muscle wasting. You could have suppression of the immune system, which may lead to increased susceptibility to allergies, infections, and degenerative disease. This is all that can happen. So here's, if you look at your screen, again, this is just an overview of what I just talked about. So you're in sympathetic dominant state. That means you're constantly having some sort of stressor going on, real or imagined, right? You're not in rest and digest, you're in fight or flight. Your DHEA is low, but the cortisol levels are high. You're draining your reserves because you're not meant to use that all the time. So it's like a car that's gonna eventually run out of gas. You have negative effects of cortisol. We just talked about that. You have that slump in the mid-afternoon between 2 and 4, right? For no apparent reason. And maybe you're wired at bedtime, right? So you're sleepy, you're not making it during the day, but you're wired at bedtime. That is an indication of stage 1. Okay, so we're gonna go to stage 2, adrenal fatigue stage 2. Now, stage 2 is you're still sympathetic dominant, right? You're still in fight or flight or freeze. Nothing's changed here. Body is still in chronic preparation for something. Your DHEA is getting lower and lower, right? So cortisol starts to fall back into its normal range because your adrenals getting too tired to handle the load. It's easy to confuse this stage with normal stage if you don't test for DHEA, right? Because again, cortisol is just trying to get back to its normal level. So generally, we'll talk about this later, an adrenal stress index test done in stage 2 will show the peaks and valleys of cortisol and lower than normal DHEA. We'll talk about later why it's important to know what stage you're in. It's really important because there's a different way to address when you're having too much cortisol being released than when you're not having enough cortisol being released when it gets to burnout. So let's talk about some symptoms, and I combine stages 1 and 2. So let's talk about some of the symptoms of an overactive adrenals. You can't sleep, you're under high amounts of stress, you have weight gain when under stress, even when you eat less food. You wake up tired even after 6 or more hours of sleep. You have excessive perspiration or perspiration with little or no activity, and again, tired and wired. So I'm just curious, if we have a poll here, if you're so inclined to participate, how many of you are experiencing symptoms of overactive adrenals and reserves depleting? And Nadine, if you could pull that up for us so we can take a look. Okay, so feel free to vote away. Again, this is, no one else can see this, so it's anonymous. It's just for statistical purposes only. And then when you see the results, you'll see you're not alone. And hopefully that will encourage you and inspire you, let you know that what you're feeling is common, although not normal. I'll say it's common. Okay, so 46% of you have voted. And all of you may not vote because maybe you're not on stage 1 or 2. Maybe you're beyond that, or maybe you're in the alarm stage. 63% have voted. Okay, and we'll let you all pile in a little bit more. All right, so I think we're at a good stopping point here. Looks like 70% of you have voted. So let's end the poll and share the results. So a lot of you, 57%, wake up tired even after sleeping. Again, that goes back to the beginning when we talked about that most of you are here because of that. So it seems like you're squarely in stage 1 or 2. Again, without actually doing a test to confirm that, I think it's suffice to say that your adrenals are being challenged. Yeah, so a lot of you can't fall asleep, 52%. And what's the other highest number? No, so the higher numbers would seem to be between waking up tired and just cannot fall asleep. That's the wired and tired, right? You're tired during the day, but you're wired at night. All right, that's hallmark, that's classic. So thank you for participating in that. That gives me an idea of how to support you. So we're gonna stop the sharing of that and move along. All right. So now this is you don't want to be in any of these stages, but you certainly don't want to be in this final stage, adrenal fatigue, which is pure exhaustion. So in stage 3, total cortisol is low, right? It's just like, I'm done, can't do it anymore. DHEA is low, it's done, can't do it anymore. You have very long periods of stress that precede stage 3. So it's not like I got stressed out yesterday and today I'm in stage 3. This could be years and years and years. Or even months, depending on how extreme your stressors are. So Sometimes in this stage, you might have a temporary rise in DHEA as one last attempt to restore balance. All the other functions of the adrenals are trumped by high cortisol. So that means your immune system is going to be compromised, right? And for women that are of a certain age and menopause, you know, that means your libido might go down. Of course, that could happen in any level, or any stage. Also, if your libido could go down, low libido regardless, but for women of menopause, the ovaries shut down and the adrenals are responsible for, you know, generating estrogen and progesterone. So that just gets all whacked out. Nadine, were you trying to ask me a question? Nope. Okay, good. Let's see. So if the body perceives constant stress, like in the old days, being chased by a tiger, and then modern emotional and mental stressors, all the other adrenal functions are inhibited, because again, the body, it's preparing to run. That's all it knows to do is protect. So it needs to run and hide. So all those other things can't be done. You can't run and then also rest, digest, and procreate, right? It's not important. The body is reserving that energy to keep you alive, not keep you pretty, not keep you sexually satisfied, just to keep you alive. Our libido is just not a necessary function, right? Another hormone, pregnenolone, called the mother, grandmother of all steroid, kicks in at the expense of DHEA. So again, there's a cascade of hormone imbalances that are going to happen, and that'll result in accelerated aging and decreased libido, right? I mentioned along with memory loss and some of these other things. So I'm hoping that you now understand how important it is to address this before it gets to that stage. But do not be discouraged in that what caused the body to get to that stage, we can also reverse that. So we look at lifestyle, nutrition, stressors, all that stuff to see if we can.
I do have one question for you.
Sure.
It's from Charlotte. She wants to know, what about biologically matched hormones?
Yes, so you can do that, and I'm not qualified to tell you whether or not that's best for you. Only a doctor would, but I can tell you that that is one of the ways to resolve this. Not resolve it, but to make you feel better. But remember, their bioidentical hormones also have a whole set of problems, and that they have to be balanced properly in your body. And basically, if you don't fix the stressors, you'll be on bioidentical hormones for a long time. Having said that, if you're using it just to take the edge off and you're working on fixing the underlying cause, yahoo. So that's my 2 cents worth there. I hope that helped. Any other questions in that area? It's a good question. Thank you for asking. All right. So let's talk about now the symptoms of low adrenal stage 3. We talked about low energy and cold intolerance, and that's what I felt years and years ago when my adrenals were in stage 3. I just couldn't handle, and cold for me was anything below 65 degrees. I mean, so it's that severe. Frequent illnesses, craving salt, poor recovery from exercise, low blood pressure upon rising, dark circles under the eyes. I'm not talking about just like a little bit of dark circles when you just don't sleep good. I'm talking about dark circles all the time, and they're very pronounced, super dark. Thin, dry, dull hair that tends to fall out, sparse hair on the forearms, the lower legs, dry skin, and light sensitivity. So the top 2 I see in my practice are low energy and cold tolerance, including the cold fingers and toes, even when the weather is warm. Even when the weather was warm, I was having cold fingers and toes. And ligament and tendon laxity, or just loose and generalized hypermobility of the joints, and it could be very painful. So let's see how many of you are suffering from low.
I have one question for you.
Sure.
Anne wants to know what qualifies as low blood pressure here.
Low blood pressure is whatever the standard is, which I believe is below 100. Yep. And for you personally, and again, I'm not a doctor, for me, it was just getting up and feeling dizzy. That is an indication that your blood pressure is too low, because you know, blood pressure, like everything else, is biochemically personal. So I tend to have lower blood pressure than most people, just genetically. So what I can survive on as far as low blood pressure, maybe somebody else can't. But I was feeling dizzy when I got up, which meant my blood pressure was much lower than it should have been. So that's a sign. without even taking your own blood pressure. I hope that helped. Thank you for the question. Very good question. So yeah, shall we take another poll to find out how many of us are experiencing symptoms of low adrenals? Let's go for it. And then we'll get into, you know, how some things you can do to support yourself. All right, so let's see. All right, so get to voting whenever you feel like it. Again, this is anonymous. Nobody's gonna know it, who's voting. It's just statistical. Okay, so you all popping in, that's awesome. So far we've got a lot of people experiencing just low energy, just like blah all the time. Yeah, or malaise is what they call it. 83% of you, low energy. And that's 24/7. That's not like, oh, you know, I just feel bad or I feel I have low energy for a specific period of time. It just means generally low energy all the time. So it looks like 60% of you are voting. We're still voting, yay. We're beating the statistics for the election, yay, happy about that. 70% have voted, awesome. I'm so appreciative of you all for providing me with this information because it helps me to help you. And I think we'll just stop the poll. Looks like everybody who wants to vote has. So low energy, you know what that means. Usually my clients will say, I just don't feel like myself, you know, and low energy means just doing normal things, let alone trying to do things that are athletic. Some of my clients said they couldn't even keep up with their children, that just driving, just doing normal activities just was too much. And maybe some of you can relate to that. Let's see, some of you have dry, dull hair that tends to fall out, low blood pressure. Again, some of these things can also be indication of other hormone systems not functioning properly, like the thyroid, but the adrenals and the thyroid kind of run hand in hand. So it could be a combination of both, but yeah, a lot of you just feeling tired. So you're in the right place. And I'm really hoping that you walk away with something that will help support you in addressing this area, because it's just no fun running around with no energy. Not to mention, there's some other things that can happen as a result of your adrenals being low. And that's what we're going to talk about next.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
Charlotte wants to know, she says, I've been using, I'm not going to say this right, carnitine and DRIBIOSE, so I can walk at a respectable level. Is that?
Okay, is that a question or a comment?
Yeah, I agree say that, and I'm thinking that might be just a comment.
Okay, and we can talk about that on the other side when I come back, and see how that's working out for you. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Let's see, assessing you. So we're going to stop the share and we're going to go on to the next slide. Thank you so much again for participating. So let's assess your level of exhaustion. So, and we have talked about the various stages of exhaustion, from the alarm stage to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then, you know, just final exhaustion. So how do you determine your actual level of exhaustion? Well, there's a good, better, best approach to balance your adrenals and restore your energy. So by assessing the root cause. The level of exhaustion at each stage requires a unique approach. We talked about that earlier. Overactive adrenals results in too much cortisol being released, and underactive adrenals is not enough cortisol. And you need cortisol, right? You do need that to be released because you need it to wake you up, to maintain your energy, right? You just don't want it to be overactive. Now, self-assessments can let you know, based on a preponderance of symptoms, that this is an area that needs your attention. So I gave you an assessment that says, hey, maybe I need to look at this area more closely. And you can start to do some general interventions, maybe to feel better, but you're not quite able to identify the extent of the imbalance and so not be able to treat it properly. There's also something called the ASI, the adrenal salivary testing. Some of you may be familiar with that, where you take a swab of your saliva certain times of the day, and it determines how much cortisol and DHEA is being released throughout a 24-hour period. And then there's also the Dutch test, which is fairly new, dried urine test for comprehensive hormones. that will let you know the extent of your exhaustion and exactly where you need to support, so you can work with a functional medicine doctor to create a customized and personalized nutrition and lifestyle approach. Most doctors, traditional doctors, conventional doctors are familiar with the adrenal salivary testing, and it can be covered under insurance. The Dutch test, not so much because it's not recognized by traditional doctors. But functional medicine doctors are familiar with this, and I have actually taken that test, and I find it to be quite helpful and quite useful. So let's do the adrenal scorecard. Remember, the adrenal scorecard is just going to give us an idea that maybe you need to address this. Some of you to a greater extent than others. So I think I'm not going to be surprised by the adrenal scorecard results, but I still would like to see them. If you did the adrenal scorecard or filled it out, should have only taken it 10 minutes or so. I'd love to see how you scored. So let's see how everybody did. Again, this is anonymous. Nobody's going to see your name attached to it, only statistics. Okay, so just keep moving. All right, 18% of you have voted. So that may mean that many of you didn't fill out the form, and that's okay too. But those of you that did, thank you. 31% of you have voted. So we'll keep waiting around just a little bit. Okay, 34%. Okay, we're gonna stop. Oh, no, you're still going. Okay, never mind. So we're gonna share the results. And it looks like, yeah, so 58% of you, your adrenals are out of bounds and need attention. So you really want your scores to be around 0 to 10%, right? Or even 11 to 20%, you know, you just need a tune-up. You can, you know, with diet and lifestyle, you can shift to normal pretty easily. 21 to 35% or even higher means that you need a little more personalized intervention, which is addressing your actual level of exhaustion, and so that you can actually use food as medicine to support you. So yeah, thank you for that. So let's stop the share, and then we'll just move on to our next slide. So here's the dangers associated with unmanaged adrenals. Like we think about the adrenals themselves, that's enough right there, right? Burning out your adrenals, very, you know, those necessary glands. But here's what else happens when you have unmanaged adrenals. Blood pressure, right? Because blood pressure is gonna go up in response to, you gotta run, right? You're being chased by a tiger. Your immune system is gonna be compromised because the adrenals can't handle everything, right? It's like, well, you have to run. So it's not gonna be able to, you know, your reserves are gone. It's not gonna be able to support you. The adrenals need a lot of vitamin C, and they get stripped when you're constantly stressed. Heart health, again, cardiovascular disease. Digestion gets impaired. So even if you eat good food and using food as medicine, it's not gonna get where it needs to go. It's not gonna be converted or converted to the nutrients to support you, because digestion gets impaired. When you have to run from a tiger, real or imagined, again, the body is not that sophisticated, digestion gets impaired. Digestion takes about 75% of your energy. So you can either rest and digest or freeze and flight. So you can run or freeze or fight. You can't do both. Your thyroid receptors are gonna be affected by that. Inflammation is going to get higher. Blood sugar just goes crazy because, you know, cortisol, if it's getting released all the time, the body's saying, well, you need some sugar to run, right? And so it's like looking for sugar to run. And even if you didn't eat anything, or you don't have any sugar reserves in your blood, or wherever it goes scavenging to look for it, it'll break down healthy muscle tissue and convert it to sugar because it thinks you have to run. And that's why people have muscle wasting. And of course, your respiration is affected. All right, so these are all sure.
I have one comment. Mel wants to know if you could speak on adrenals and diabetes.
Yeah, they're very much related. Yes, they're very, so that's what I said with the blood sugar. If you are constantly under stress and you've got cortisol being released all the time, cortisol's only job, or one of its jobs, is energy. Like, okay, you need energy to run. It's gonna mobilize other systems in the body to support running. So you need sugar. So the body's gonna say, okay, she didn't have any sugar in her body. She doesn't, I'm going to the liver, I'm trying to pull out sugar, there's not enough sugar for her to run. So the body breaks down healthy muscle tissue, converts that to sugar. It's as if you ate a candy bar, right? So you're gonna have issues with managing your blood sugar, absolutely. Also, the other way can be addressed too, if you have a blood sugar dysregulation, even all the way up to full-blown diabetes, and that causes inflammation, that causes stress on the body, that causes the adrenals to go wonky. So yeah, that does have an impact. What I like to do is tell my clients to handle their issues in order of foundational first. So if you handle digestive issues, you handle your blood sugar issues, then some of the adrenal issues should go away, assuming you're managing your stress, the other stressors in the body. Okay, that was a good question. Thank you for that. Any other questions in that area? Okay, so let's talk about actions that rebalance adrenals and restore energy. Again, this is meant to be for educational purposes only. You live in your body every day. I'm not a licensed medical person. I'm just trained in understanding how the adrenals work as a nutritional endocrinology graduate from the Institute of Nutritional Endocrinology. So this is not meant to be medical advice, just information. So let's talk about stress management. The simple act of deep breathing several times a day can shift you from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Just the simple act of breathing. Do you know we all hold our breaths? We breathe, like maybe as soon as something stressful happens, we stop breathing, or we do shallow breathing. The body, that signals stress to the body. So just the simple act of breathing for 2 minutes can make that shift happen. So if you master your mindset, you master your health. I help my clients address this critical area through coaching. So there are also supplements that you may wish to consider for this area, but for now, just a simple act of breathing is so supportive of your adrenals and so supportive of shifting and giving you energy. So movement, moderate physical activity should be done to protect you from the negative side effects of stressful situations. Now, it's important not to over-exercise, particularly if you think or suspect you have an adrenal issue. You don't want to over-exercise, which could further deplete minerals and nutrients with the body, because the adrenals are nutrients are being stripped from your body because of the overactivity of the adrenals. So you can do walking or squats at work or running up and down the steps, but no gym membership is required. I also like yoga, right, for energy, for movement. Sleep. So your circadian rhythm may be off due to chronic stress, so that must be restored. And there are methods such as getting 5 to 20 minutes of sunshine first thing in the morning, even if it's cloudy, so it can reset your circadian rhythm. Just go outside on your porch or look out your window. I've even done that in the winter when it's snowing or super cold, but the sun is shining. I'll just look out at the window and get my 20 minutes of sunshine in my eyes first thing in the morning. And there are also some herbs and supplements you may wish to consider, and I'll discuss that later in the presentation. But what we really want to focus on, again, because we're talking about food as medicine, is diet, nutrients, and herbs that can support you. So yeah, diet is very important, right?
I do have one question.
Sure.
Tanya wants to know, what about taking DHEA supplements, dose and frequency?
Yeah, so again, with DHEA, you have to be very, very careful. You don't want to take too much of it because it can throw things off. So you want to make sure that you are being seen by a practitioner to support you in that. So yeah, just a little bit is good, too much is too much. So you don't want to have so much DHEA that it stops cortisol from running completely. So yeah, I am not, I'm a big fan of doing whatever it takes to get your quality of life up while you're also working on the root cause so that the body can balance naturally. Okay. Let's see. But again, if you're going to do supplements like that, please, please, please make sure you're being supported by a practitioner or somebody who has an understanding of that. All right. So let's talk about diet. We want to make sure that we're not giving extra stress to the adrenals by eating things that don't support health, but also increase toxicity in the body. So, and if you eliminate common and known allergens, known sensitivities or intolerances to food, coffee, processed sugar, processed and packaged food, in quotes, you're going to not only reduce digestive distress, but you're going to reduce inflammation. Remember, the adrenals are going to be responding to that. So some of the common and known allergens are gluten and dairy and eggs and peanuts and corn and soy. Common may not mean you have all these allergies, but they're common. And so when I'm supporting my clients and we're doing an elimination diet, these are some of the things we start eliminating to start getting inflammation down. Known sensitivities or intolerances, foods you don't digest well. I've heard so many of my clients say, yeah, I love eating that, but it really blows me up or it doesn't make so. You got to stop doing that because your body is trying to tell you. Now, it could be an intolerance to the food itself, or because you might have some digestive issues, especially with the small intestine, that need to be repaired. But in any event, if you're eating something you love and it doesn't love you back, stop.
Yeah. I have two comments also.
Sure.
One is from Charlotte. She says she started wearing sunglasses, so when she's out in the sun, her eyes had improved. And then Tanya wants you to know that dealing with dizziness, is it from dehydration, from the adrenal impairment?
Yeah, so all good questions. I'm going to start with the dizziness. Like all the symptoms in the body, it could be related to one or more imbalances in the body. It could be related to dehydration, right? So when we start looking at symptoms like that, always go for the low-hanging fruit first. So for me, when I was dizzy like that, I said, okay, I just need to drink more water. The dizziness didn't go away. Or I need to get my magnesium up. The dizziness didn't go away because I was losing a lot of sodium. So my sodium and potassium level was off. So, but I had to, I had to eliminate the low-hanging fruit first. You're right. You always want to do the foundational things first. My mentor said that when you hear hoofbeats, don't always think zebras, exotic, right? Think horses. And so, yeah, it could be related to a number of things. When we're looking at adrenals, it's the preponderance of things, a preponderance of symptoms. So yeah, that's a good, thank you for sharing that. Absolutely, drinking water might be the issue. And regarding the sunglasses, I'm not sure what I was supposed to get from that comment. Could you repeat that for me?
The comment is Charlotte. She says, I started not wearing sunglasses when I'm out in the sun.
Yes.
And my eyes have improved.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, you want the full spectrum of light in your eyes without the sunglasses. Absolutely. Now, some people do have a sensitivity to sunlight. So I'm not saying stare out there for, more than you can handle it, but 5 minutes should not harm most people. But having said that, again, if you've been diagnosed with some condition and your doctor has told you don't look directly into the sun without sunglasses, then do follow your doctor's orders. But I'm so happy to hear that the sunlight helps you. Now, I will say this, I have told my clients who have sensitivity to close their eyelids and just look at the sun and see if that helps and see if, some of that penetrates the skin. But there are ways to get around that without actually wearing glasses or sunglasses, because there's a reason that your eyes should be exposed to the sun to set your circadian rhythm. Those are really good questions and comments. So thank you so much. And I hope other people learn from that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one more from Charlotte. She just said, could you please comment on carotene and D-ribose for impacting fatigue?
I'm not sure the T.
Okay. Yeah, please comment on, I'll spell it C-R-E-A-T-I-N-E.
Oh, creatine.
And D, and the next word is R-I-B-O-S-E for impacting fatigue.
So it's the creatine is for aminos, and aminos are awfully going to be supportive for you, but I'd like to talk on the other side when we get here so you can tell me exactly why you're taking it, what you're taking it for, and all that, so we can make this, or I may tell you we have to make this more personal and you can talk to me on the other side. So my question is, if you're taking it and is it working for you, keep doing it. But like my general comment is, like anything, make sure you're being supported by a practitioner who understands about hormones, who understands about supplements and how they impact hormones, and who's following you and gauging how well you're doing. So a lot of us will get and I'll just, you know, say this as a side comment. And a lot of us will take supplements, for example, for vitamin D, which a lot of Black people are low in. So you take the vitamin D and you take, I don't know, whatever the recommended is, 2,000 IUs, and then you don't test again. You don't know if it's working for you, not working for you. You're just like, I'm just going to take it. You have to assess, take the nutrient, reassess. Now with vitamin D, it's not always a matter of how you feel. Sometimes it is, but I'm hoping that that gives you a general understanding. Now, if you want to have a private conversation with me, I'm happy to support you in a 20-minute conversation so we can chat more about that. But thank you for sharing that. Any more questions?
No more questions right now.
Oh, great. Okay.
Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry. Okay. Trisha says, is the Dutch, the DUTCH urine test different from the average urine test you would take during a physical? That's the
Yes.
one. Second is, what other tests can you take to determine hormonal imbalances?
So it depends on what type of hormone imbalances you're talking about. So now we're talking about adrenal specifically, right? And so the difference is that the Dutch test is a dried metabolite. So it's urine metabolites, so dried urine test. And it depends on what other type, what types of hormones. Remember, hormones control our entire body. So if you're talking about female hormones, right, that's a whole other. Dutch test will also has a panel for that. So you can determine where you are premenopausal, menopausal, and where you may have imbalances. So I hope that helped. Okay. Anything? Is that it? If I didn't answer a question, you can feel free to say it again. I think that did it. Okay, these are all good questions. Thank you so much. So now we talked about what you can eliminate, but these are general things that you can do to nourish the body. Add green leafy vegetables. Add sea vegetables like kelp and bladderwrack and dulse and nori. Adding coconut. Adding omega-3 rich foods like hemp seeds and chia seeds, flax seeds, and algae. Add probiotic rich foods like kimchi and sauerkraut and coconut yogurt and seed yogurt. Again, these are all plant-based. And adrenal supporting herbal teas like licorice, ginseng, and lemon balm. Now these foods provide protein and minerals for repair. Because remember, we're trying to repair the adrenals, right? They support for the immune system that's always depressed or suppressed when you have adrenals running amok, right? And allows the adrenals to heal. Hydration is also super important, and someone mentioned that earlier. So the rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces, more or less, depending on how active you are, if you're eating hydrating foods. So you won't need as much. And it's important, obviously, to purchase organic food to minimize your toxic load and to maximize nutrition. Again, this is just generally to nourish. If, you know, as far as energizing you or re-energizing you based on those different stages, this may do it for some people, may not. But this is generally what you can do to support the adrenals, nourishing them, because they have just been beat to pieces. So you want to add good mood and energy boosting food. Now, many people with low energy and who are chronically fatigued will use snacks and products that contain processed sugar to boost energy, right? Because yeah, you're going to get that boost, but you're also going to crash. And this could further damage the adrenals. My recipe book called How to Be a Healthy Chocoholic has healthier alternatives to provide sustainable energy, boost your mood, and contains nutrients that restore balance, right? Pictured are superfood balls. I made these, and I make these a lot, and they're really delicious. And that's one of the recipes in the guide. So they're easy to make. They can be stored in the freezer. They're vegetarian friendly, right? And you can have them available when you need a boost. So not only will it give you a boost, but it'll also start nourishing the adrenals. Everybody's going to receive a link to the guide at the end of the presentation. Let's talk about general nutrient support, right? When you have adrenal issues. I think, you know, obviously food is always recommended, but it's been my experience that nutrient support may be needed. And some of you talked about that earlier because adrenal fatigue reduces nutrient reserves. And many people also have less than optimal digestion. We talked about that earlier. So even if you're eating food as medicine, it may not be going where it needs to go because you're not digesting it properly, right? So these are general recommendations. Dosage is going to vary based on your individual needs. So vitamin B, vitamin C, Vitamin C is necessary for cortisol and other adrenal hormone production. And as an antioxidant, it protects the adrenals from damage. So again, this is recommended generally, not for you specifically, but 1,000 milligrams 2 times a day will help in this area. Again, that depends on your personal biochemical level. Some people may need more, some people may need less. Vitamin B5 is part of the energy producing pathways. So it's critical for the conversion of glucose into energy. So if you're going to supplement, you may want to do about 500 milligrams 3 times a day. Vitamin B6 is a cofactor in the enzymatic production of adrenal hormones. So 25 to 50 milligrams a day should be helpful. B complex, it's a general support for stress and energy. Again, when clients are come to me with their blood tests, and I help them understand what the blood test is trying to tell them. Again, I'm not diagnosing, curing, or treating anything. It's just general information. A lot of the time, it's an indication that their B vitamins have been stripped because there's certain organs, glands, and hormones that rely on B vitamins that aren't getting it. And so that's an indication that you may have some adrenal issues, or you're not ingesting enough. I don't know. B complex, again, I like liquid for B complex, about a half a teaspoon 2 times a day. You don't want to take any B vitamins after 4 p.m. because it will keep you up all night long. Let's see, vitamin D3, nearly every cell. I'm sorry, go for it. You have a question? No,
yes. Would sea moss be a benefit? It's from Sharon. Sharon wants to know, would sea moss be a benefit to the adrenals?
Yes, it would nourish it. That, if you look in our previous slide, we talked about sea vegetables, and yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'll just go back and see, sea vegetables is definitely on our list, and I just named a few. But yeah, no worries there. Big fan of that. Vitamin D3, nearly every cell and tissue has receptors for vitamin D, making it necessary for optimal health. So whether you're having issues with your digestion, adrenals, it supports every function of the body. You need to make sure that your D is at optimal. And right now, currently, experts say that optimal is between 50 and 100. Functional medicine doctors say between 70 and 100. So if you're only taking 2,000 milligrams a day and you haven't tested, I don't know if you're actually getting enough D3 in the way of a supplement. You can also get vitamin D from sunshine. You can get about 20,000 IUs a day, exposing as much of your skin as possible. Unfortunately, we're cave dwellers in the winter. We're cave dwellers even in the summer, so we don't get enough. If you were, I guess, living optimally and normally, you would be out in the sun quite a bit. You would store that for the winter, but we just don't do that. So a lot of us do have to supplement with vitamins and minerals, with nutrients, and it's best to get clean and as close as possible to food grade supplements. And again, there are many others that may need to be incorporated based on the result of clinical labs or nutritional self-assessments, but these are the ones that I know based on my research, based on my training, and based on experimenting on myself, that I know I need in order to support my adrenals to have them nourished. And then we can talk about general herbal support. Again, you got lots of herbs you can take. There's some herbs you need to take when you're producing too much cortisol, and some herbs you need to take when you're not producing enough. So I don't want to recommend anything without you knowing where you stand. So I like to give general herbal support and talk about things called adaptogens. Adaptogenic herbs will balance naturally. They won't do anything nasty in the body, right? So, and they're great for promoting balance. And there are many others to choose from, but these are a few of my favorites. Mine and my clients. I use these and other nutrients to make energizing elixirs. So it's a great way to make some elixirs. And I have an ebook with 10 healing balancing elixirs, including one for repairing the adrenals for anybody that wants to get on my site. And I'll probably post that in the blog post next week about how to make your own herbal adrenals, herbal elixir, and which contains all these, by the way. So ashwagandha is for weakness, exhaustion, anxiety, and insomnia. Many people have found really good results with that. Again, these are general adaptogenic herbs, right? Maca contains high amounts of B vitamins and all the essential amino acids because you're losing a lot of nutrients, especially the B vitamins when you're under stress. Reishi provides adrenal function and alleviates the stress, and also strengthens the immune system. Because remember, when the adrenals are burning like that, one of the functions of the adrenals is to support the immune system. So that gets compromised. So that helps us keep your immune system pumping. And then rhodiola increases the body's resistance against mental and physical stress. So basically, it helps boost your energy. Herbs are just like medicine. You know, some people may find this helpful, some people may not. So what may generally work for one person may not work for another. So it's why it's always best to be supported by an expert, someone who can support you in understanding how much to put in your body and what may or may not work for you. Again, adaptogenic herbs generally don't hurt people, but having said that, we're all biochemically different. All right, let's talk about nutrient and, okay, someone raised their hand.
Yes, I have a question here. Says I had great results with the RHODIOLA and the ASHW. Yes, but maca was a hit or miss. Do you have any advice on how to take it, when and how often? And that's from Marquita.
Yes, I do, but I'd have to know you personally. I'd have to, so I would have to know your lifestyle, have to know a lot of things. And here's a general rule of thumb with supplements, herbal supplement particularly, go low and slow. So do the lowest recommended, and then increase until you get the desired result. That's a general recommendation, because everybody's different. Some people, it might be a teaspoon of ashwagandha a day that gets them where they need to go. Other people, it may need 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Only you would know. Go low and slow. All right, that's a great question. Thank you. So now let's talk about nutrient and herbal supplements. This supplement here, oh my gosh, I love this supplement. This supplement contains many of those nutrients we talked about, because a lot of my clients say, oh my gosh, I got to take so many supplements and nutrients, and they get confused. And so I'm always looking for ways to help them support their adrenals that's easy. So this adrenal assist provides key nutrients and botanicals to enhance adrenal response to stress and support the ability to adapt to stressors and restore balance. So it's kind of an all-in-one. So you can see we have the vitamin C, the B5, the B6, it's all important things that we need to nourish the adrenals. Zinc, is responsible for so many functions in the body. So you need zinc for restoring the adrenals. Rhodiola, we talked about that for energy. Astragalus, ashwagandha for balancing you out. Holy basil for chilling you out. I mean, this has everything in it. And many of my clients have had really good results. So here's a note of caution with nutrient and herbal supplements, that not everyone reacts well to supplements. So you have to use them as directed, and note my medical disclaimer, right? If this information is not intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional. So you may wish to talk to your healthcare provider before taking this on. I'm just telling you based on my experience, this has what worked for my clients. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent any disease, but it could take the edge off while we determine what level of adrenal fatigue you're in and begin to go to the root cause. Because it's miserable. It is miserable to not have energy to do the normal things. And it is even more miserable to not have energy when you have other people that are depending upon you and you push yourself anyway. But eventually that's not going to last long. You're going to burn those adrenals out. So this may help keep you going for a little bit until you are able to address the root cause. All right.
Well, Adrian wants to know, can you take this in addition to a multivitamin?
Yeah, I think I would say yes, depending on the multivitamin and what's in it. So I would have to find out what's in it. So yes, the thing about these, especially the herbs, they're all adaptogenic, so your body knows what to do with it. Most multivitamins contain not even the daily requirement of what you need in nutrients, because it's meant to be a supplement. So you're probably going to be okay. Yeah, but I still like to, support people in that. That's just a general response. So that was a good question. Thank you for that. So let's talk about, we talked about action plans. Here's a general plan you can use to develop your own unique blueprint to beat fatigue and restore your energy naturally. First, determine your adrenal fatigue stage. It's not enough just to take those symptoms, because as someone pointed out earlier, those symptoms could be from a myriad of other things. I really encourage you to determine either with the saliva test or with the Dutch test. You want to implement appropriate lifestyle activities like sleep, stress management, right? You can always start helping out the adrenals anyway, that's general. You want to add adrenal nourishing food. We talked about that earlier, those green leafy vegetables, the sea vegetables, the coconut, that nourishing healthy fat, the omega-3 fatty acids, right? They're going to help with brain health. And then we have probiotics and things like that, rich foods that will help with the immune system. And then you want to improve your vitamin and minerals with supplements to assist with rebuilding. Again, food always best, but if your quality of life is impacted and you want to get your stuff up to therapeutic as quickly as possible to do day-to-day activities, then I always encourage that. And you want to go ahead.
No, I was going to say that goes into the question Pernell just asked. Is it better to have an orange for vitamin C instead of drinking orange juice? I have
Absolutely.
2 other comments and questions too.
Absolutely. Anytime you strip you want the plant in its whole form, because then you have the fiber. And there's a reason that fruits have fiber. It's to slow down the rush of sugar in your body, right? So your blood sugar doesn't get elevated so quickly. So yes, I always say in its complete pure form is always best. Having said that, some people have digestive issues and maybe the fiber won't help them too much. And if you're going to do orange juice, I'm not saying that this is the good, better, best approach. So we're not going to demonize any approach, just some are better than others. Then you don't want to, I like to mix it with a little water to slow down, or green powder to slow down that rush and that raise of your blood sugar, right? So that rise of your blood sugar. That's a very good question. And then the final bullet point is to introduce appropriate herbs suitable for your particular stage of adrenal fatigue, which only you and a qualified professional can help you find out. Finally, you want to take a deeper dive, right? If you're ready to take a deeper dive, I always say a good, better, best approach. So a good approach would be the herbal adrenal supplement that I recommended, and or adrenal support suggested meal plan. So if you do that, you're already giving your adrenal, some nourishment. Better would be like I do a functional nutrition consultation or coaching, which guides you to personalize and customize food as medicine. So, I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't tell you, I cannot legally say, eat this food. I can only recommend, based on what you're telling me, certain things that I know that will support your nutrition needs based on a self-assessment. So you and I together, you provide the information because you live in your body every day. I provide the information, the science, to help you make a good decision about what food you should be incorporating into your body to use it as medicine. And then I have something called the functional health consultation, which is a guide to customize food as medicine and a general education review of blood tests and other systems in your body, so you understand what your body is trying to tell you. When you go to a doctor, you get a basic blood test. They're designed to, doctors are disease managers. So they're looking at the blood test from a disease management point of view, drug it out or cut it out, right? So they're looking at the standard range where you and a lot of your sick friends are, because most people get blood tests because they're sick. And they're saying, okay, if you're in this range, then you are sick and we have to take care of that. I help you understand the optimal range, which is also on the blood test that says, hey, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, and this is where you're not. And you may be on a slippery slope to getting in a range, a red zone of disease where you will need disease management intervention. You really want to look at it from a health management perspective. I believe most doctors want to do that for their clients or their patients, but they just don't have enough time. And because they're trained in disease management, not health maintenance, there's a difference. And we can talk about the difference if you're not aware what that difference is. So that's why you want to take control of your own health. You want to get information so that you'll know either how to have the doctor help you, because they only get 6 to 10 minutes with you. If you're lucky, maybe 20. Functional medicine doctors spend a lot more time with you than that. So I always recommend a functional medicine doctor if you can do it. So if you're not sure which of these things is right for you because you got a lot of information, I'm offering a free 20-minute consultations for people for the remainder of the month. That was September, but I guess we're in October now. Until about October 15th, I'm only taking the first 5 people who schedule because my schedule is very, very full. But maybe this is enough information for you to get started, and I hope that it is and didn't serve to stir up the pot and make you more confused. So I want to thank you for coming. I really do appreciate that you came, and as promised, we're going to put the link to the Black Veg Society of Maryland survey up, and also the link to the food is medicine, the chocoholic, how to be a healthy chocoholic. So Nadine is going to post that for us shortly. I'm going to take down this presentation and put myself on the screen and see how much time we have left to actually talk. So thank you for coming. I'm curious, did anybody hear anything different or new, anything that, that they found helpful? And we can open up your mics if you raise your hand, or maybe you post it in the chat. So he said, oh yes, good, good, good. Well, I am very much interested in people taking control of their health. So I hope that for all this time that you spent here, that there's something that you spent here, there's something that you're going to do. I don't care how small it is. Tell me what small thing you're going to do to handle chronic fatigue and restore your energy. I don't care how small it is. Anybody want to volunteer what you're going to do, or? That's okay. Maybe you need time to think about it. But
I can volunteer what I'm going to do.
Oh, Charlotte, thank you.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I thought it offered a tremendous range of information.
Yes,
I'm always trying to do something to improve my energy level, and since I've met you, I have.
Oh, great.
Let me tell you, I have improved dramatically. But I think what I'm going to do now, I really think I probably need to get a functional assessment.
Yes.
And just to confirm that I'm doing better, and just to confirm that I am doing the right things. So I'm not sure whether, you know, that's through you or NIH, or what I should, how I should proceed to get these functional tests.
Right. So why don't you, Charlotte, I know we've talked before, so why don't you just ping me on my scheduler, and let's chat about your next steps. First of all, thank you so much for sharing, because I think you have hopefully inspired other people to know that you can restore balance, you can get your energy back, and you can do it naturally.
Well, I'll say this, I'm 74 years old.
Wow. And
I feel like I'm in my 40s. So there's a whole lot of credibility to these things that we've been learning. It does work if you're consistent.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I haven't paid her anything. She just showed up.
No, you haven't paid me anything, but thank you very much.
Except for attention. You're so welcome. Charlotte, please go ahead, because you are a client already. You're not part of that 5 limit that I have. You always have a spot. So go ahead and set up a spot to chat with me for 20 minutes so we can move you up on the level. And that's what really we're working towards: optimal health, right? Not just feeling better, but getting well. And that's what Charlotte is saying. It's never too late, and that she still wants to move towards optimal health because she still has a whole lot of living left to do. So yay, applaud you for that. Anybody, I know we're running a little late, so if people have to go, please feel free to go. But if I'm gonna stay here for another few minutes. Anything else anyone want to share about what you've learned?
Toni, I also really want to thank you, because it has been really helpful. I feel like I've learned so much from this. And the one thing too that like really stood out to me, that the first thing off the top of my mind was when you said not to take the B vitamins after 4 p.m. because it'll keep you up.
Yeah.
I mean, I never knew that before, and sometimes I do take them like super late, you know? So, I mean, but all of it is very, very helpful. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that what you learned and your appreciation for it. I'm so grateful that that even that little tip was helpful to you. Now that's general. Some people can take B vitamins after 4 and they're okay. I'm not that person. They jack me up, you know, because they're designed to give you energy. So if you can do it, yay. But if you're taking B vitamins and you're staying up, now you know why.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I love what I do, by the way. You can, I mean, the energy that you're hearing is genuine, because I really think that we are first and foremost responsible for our own health, and we have allowed other people to push us in directions that are not good for us. Take control of your health. Let's look at some of the comments and then I'll go because I think I missed some. Maybe Nadine, you can help me.
Okay, let's see, valuable information. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, okay. So some of it is just saying that it's been valuable information. Yes, they like the range of herbs, eating plant-based foods, 15 minutes of sun every day. Also said, I will get more sleep and get my greens in. What do you think about Moringa? M-O-R-I-N-G. Yes.
So what are you taking that for? So I'd have to know what you're taking it for. So I don't like giving like general, you know, everything is good if it's good for you and good to you. But I don't know. It depends on what you're taking it for. If you're taking it for energy and it's working for you, keep doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, for inflammation.
Oh, good.
Taking
Awesome.
inflammation.
Good, good, good. Inflammation is super important to make sure you control that. Causes stress on the body. Great. Okay.
Thank you for such, they want to thank you for such a wonderful, awesome presentation. You're the best.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you all for showing up. I know last time we had the hijacker and I was so afraid people would be afraid to come back. So thank you so much. Do take advantage of that. Jump on it because the first 5 people get to see me free. And we can also talk about if you think that you have enough information to move forward and just need a little bit more, I'm here to coach you through that. I love, love, love what I do. Please continue to support the Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland. Give us some really good comments about this so that we can continue to be funded to provide this information to you. We will continue to provide these monthly webinars as long as it makes sense. And if it stops making sense, we'll do other things like blogs and vlogs, but we need you to tell our sponsors or the people that are providing the payment for this, for these presentations that you want it and that you're getting something out of it. So please, and remember, if you fill out that Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland survey, you will be thrown into a raffle and one of you will be able to have a free consultation with me valued at $127. So yeah.
The links have been sent they were sent separate, the survey and then the ebook about the chocolate. So you do have the survey already.
Yeah, so someone asked about the consultation. I think on that list of things that I gave you, Nadine, there is a link to my website.
All right, let me see.
And if you go to my website, www.TrueSelf.TotalHealth.com, you'll be able to figure out which, and also you'll be getting the PDF of this presentation. So the links will be available that way too. So we get them out to you before Friday. We try really hard within the week. So just hold on. But that's where you get the free consultation. Thank you, Nadine. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all so much. Go forth, be healthy, feed those adrenals. With that, I'll say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.